The Chechens. But before we get too deep into the video, first I want to tell you guys about my social media platforms. So I have a Clubhouse account and we can actually talk to one another on it. I also host Clubhouse rooms every now and then where I might talk about history and genetics of the Middle East and Africa. I have a Twitter page, a Facebook account, and a Facebook page, as well as a Instagram, all titled The Hebrew of Israel. And what I typically do on these platforms is post upcoming videos as well as slides for my presentations. And so just be on the lookout for all of that on my social media platforms. And if you want to support me financially for the channel, you can look at my Patreon as well as my PayPal and my GoFundMe. And with all of that out of the way, let's begin with the video. The Chechens are mentioned as one of the groups with the highest amount of haplogroup J. Therefore, let's study this group and get to know them better. So Chechen is a Northeast Caucasian language. The Chechens, historically known as the Kisik and the Durid Zooks, are an Northeast Caucasian ethnic group of the Nak peoples, native to the North Caucasus in Eastern Europe. Chechen and English peoples are collectively known as the Vanaks, which means our people in Chechnya, since the 1930s and were known as the Nakashki prior. Chechnya, officially the Chechen Republic, is a constituent republic of Russia situated in the North Caucasus in Eastern Europe, close to the Caspian Sea. And so here is a map. Oops, excuse me. Here is a map of Chechnya, and it's close to Ingeshnya. So it's in Russia, but again, keep in mind Russia is also technically in Caucasus. But so prehistory and origin. The Chechens are one of the Nak peoples who have lived in the highlands of the North Caucasus region since prehistory. There is archaeological evidence of historical continuity dating back to 3000 BC, as well as evidence pointing to their ancestors migrating from the Fertile Crescent in 10,000 through 8000 BC. Migration from the Fertile Crescent, 10,000 through 8000 BC. Joanna Nichols holds that the Durazuks were descended from extremely ancient migrations from the Fertile Crescent to the Caucasus, perhaps due to population or political pressures back in the Fertile Crescent. Others who believe the so-called Uratrian version, such as George Anach Bazak and Amajed Jumeneko, still holds that these original migrants contributed to both the genetic and cultural traits of the modern English and Chechens, but that the primary ancestors were Nak-speaking migrants from what became northeastern Urartu. So again, they have a similar history and tradition, uh, such as the English, and this is starting to be consistent, which is interesting. So the core axis culture. Towns were built in the area that is now Chechnya as early as 8000 BCE. Pottery, too, came around the same time, and so did stone weaponry, stone utensils, stone jewelry items, etc., as well as clay dishes. This period was known as the Kora Araxes culture. And again, here's a map of the Kora Araxes culture, and it is in the geographic area of Chechnya. And here's another type of culture within the region, the Kent culture. The trend of a highly progressive Caucasus continued as early as 3000 through 4000 BCE. Evidence of metalworking, including copper, as well as more advanced weaponry, daggers, arrowheads found, as well as armor, knives, etc. This period is referred to as the Kent culture or, or Chechnya during the Copper Age. Horseback riding came around 3000 BCE, probably having diffused from contact with Indo-European speaking tribes to the north. Towns found in this period are often not found in ruins, but rather on the outskirts of, or even inside modern towns of both Chechnya and Ingusnia, suggesting much continuity, which is very interesting how these ancient towns, like, they still exist, they just built around the towns or within the towns. But anyways, there is bone evidence suggesting that raising of small sheep and goats occurred. Clay and stone were used buildings, for all building purposes. Agriculture was highly developed, as evident by the presence of copper flint blades with wooden and bone handles. And here's another culture that's important: the Koban culture. The Koban culture, Iron Age culture, was the most advanced culture in Chechnya before recorded history, and also the most well known. It first appeared between 1100 and 1000 BCE. The remains include dwellings, cobble bridges, altars, iron objects, bones, and clay and stone objects. There were sickles and stone grain grinders. Grains that were grown included wheat, rye, and barley. Cattle, sheep, goats, donkeys, pigs, and horses were kept. There were shops where artisans worked on and sold pottery, stone casting, bone carving, and stone carving. There is evidence of an advanced stage of metallurgy. There was deification and professionals organized within clans. Joneka argues that while all these all these cultures probably were made by people included among the genetic ancestors of the Chechens, it was either the Koban or the Karaak culture that was the first culture made by the cultural and linguistic ancestors of the Chechens, meaning the Chechens first arrived in their homeland around 3000 through 4000 years ago. However, the majority of historians disagree, holding the Chechens to have lived in their present-day lands for over 10,000 years. So there's various interpretations on the relationship with Urartu and Uratrians and Hurrians. Igor Dankov, Fritz Hommel, and others have suggested ties between the Proto-Hurrian language and Northeastern Caucasian languages, leading to the proposal of the Alarduian language family. Uh, Abajed Jonica notes in his book, The Chechens, some authorities believe that the Nak nation was an offspring of the Hurrians and Uratrians, builders of the magnificent civilizations of the Near East, and had a profound influence upon other cultures of the region. According to some modern data, Chechens are genetically, linguistically, and anthropologically considered the descendants of the Hurrians and Uratrians. And so here is, by the way, the kingdom of the Hurrians, and we'll touch more on the Hurrians as well at another time. But here is also Urartu, and it's basically concentrated in the same territory of northern Near East, but the south of the Caucasus, east of Anatolia, and west of Iran. So, according to the opinion of Caucasus folklorist Abjad Joneka, it is certain that the Nak constituted an important component of the Hurrian-Uratrian tribes in the Transcaucasus and played a role in the development of their influential cultures. Abjad Jonomika notes in his book, The Chechens, Some authorities believe that the Nak nation was an offspring of the Hurrians and Uratrians, builders of the magnificent civilizations of the Near East that had a profound influence upon other cultures of the region. According to some data, Chechens are genetically, linguistically, and anthropologically considered the descendants of the Hurrians and Uratrians. And I just want to show another map of the range of the Hurrians. So what you see in this dark reddish brown is basically the territory of the Hurrians. And what you see here in this orange, this sort of dark orange, is Urartu. And so that's basically the same area. So here is this is an English translation from a book in Russian, basically explaining about the Chechenian nation in connection to the Hurrians and other Caucasian civilizations and cultures. So it reads, "This sounds extremely unexpected, but it is. The Chechenian nation is the ethnic root part of the Caucasian race, one of the oldest sources of human civilization, the fundamental principle of spirituality passed through the Hurrian, Mitanni, and Uratrian cultures." And here's the source, by the way, that this English translation is from. And here's the ISBN number. And here is the territory of the Mitanni, as they said. Here is the Hurrians and the Uratrians, basically connecting the Chechens with these ancient Near Eastern civilizations. And here's another English translation from Russian. And it says, "Most of the historical facts indicate that the language of the ancient state of Urartu is closer to the modern Chechenian one. It is highly probable that the ancestors of modern Chechens moved to the territory of the North Caucasus from Anatolia from Urartu." And here's another English translation. This is from the ATLAS Monthly Geography and Exploration magazine in March of 2003, issued 120.2. And it says, "Today Uratriists do not deny the kinship of the Chechens with the Uratrians. The kinship of the Hurrians, Uratrians, Chechens is confirmed by those who studied it. Hence, the following conclusion follows. Chechens are Uratrians. Uratrians is the remaining branch of the Chechens in Asia Minor. Actually, its structure grammatically features completeness and grammar of classes, etc. Uratrian and Chechen are similar to each other." And this is yet again another English translation of a book from Russia, and it says, "Chechens are not actually Caucasians, but ethnically and linguistically sharply separated from other mountain peoples of the Caucasus. They are the offspring of the great Hyperborean Paleo-Asian tribe displaced to the Caucasus, which extended from Turan through northern Mesopotamia into Canaan. The Chechen is a leaping northern offspring of the Proto-language, which once occupied a more southern territory, namely in the pre-Armenian, Alderian, Uratrian, Western Asia. Traces of Chechens stay in the country of Ararat or Urartu are found in topology. This alone explains the strongly Alderian, Uratrian, Armenoid character of the Chechen language, which deviates from the normal Caucasian sound system." And so here is Urartu. Most of those sources were saying over and over again that the Chechens are descendants of the Uratrians, or that they're a branch of Uratrians. So here's the kingdom of Urartu. It's a very nice map. And here's basically the extent going all the way from the southern Caucasus and Armenia, Azerbaijan, Georgia, all the way to Turkey, Anatolia, Iran, So it was a very large kingdom. And so Chechens belong to haplogroup J2 at 56.7%, which is associated with Mediterranean, Caucasian, and Fertile Crescent populations. The overwhelming bulk of Chechen J2 is of the subclade J2A4B star, which is J2-M67, of which the highest frequencies by far are found among NAC peoples. Again, J2 is highest among the NAC peoples, Caucasian peoples. But anyways, Chechens were 55.2% according to Balowski study, while the English were 87.4%, and the English have the highest of J2 in the world. So overall, studies have shown consistently that Chechens are most closely related to the English, Sartians, and other North Caucasians, occasionally showing a kinship to other peoples in some tests. A Balowski study showed the English to be the Chechens' closest relatives by far. And so here's actually a map of haplogroup J2, and it is indeed high within the Caucasus, as you can see right here, exactly where the Chechens and the English would be, and as well as in Anatolia. So everything does line up. So here are images of Chechen peoples. They are also tanned with long noses and very dark hair. Again, Caucasian populations. And like I said, they again have white, fairly light skin, and their hair can also be somewhat curly, but mostly straight. And they can have green eyes as well. But a lot of these guys, as you can see when it comes to the images, a lot of them are militants. So when you look at Chechens online, you're going to find a lot of people in various military uniforms. But Chechens, they are tanned, white skinned, dark black hair, and they also have a particular phenotype as well, like a long nose, dark haired, even brunette haired as well. And their faces seem to be quite long in a way, and some can even have high cheekbones as well. But these are just Chechen soldiers, Chechen men, and some of them sort of look like Americans in a sense as well. But again, it's very close to Russia, and some Chechens can even have blue eyes as well, and green eyes, and they can often be pale as well in skin tone. But in summary, one, what have we learned? The Chechens are a Northeast Caucasian people. Two, they speak a Nak-Dagestan language. Three, they have connections to Hurrian civilizations and language. Four, genetically, they have the highest amount of haplogroup J2 and they're related to the English. And five, phenotypically, they are Caucasian. Again, basically white to tan skin, black to brunette hair, dark eyes and blue eyes, and very long nosed or hook nosed. So here's where we'll end with the Chechens. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like. Don't forget to subscribe, click the bell, share the video. Please leave a comment if you have any questions, and follow my social media accounts if you want to see when upcoming videos are being made. And with all of that out of the way, have a great day and shalom.